Ozark Highlands Radio is brought to you by the Ozark Folk Center State Park in Mountain View, Arkansas, a wonderful way to enjoy yesterday. On the web at ozarkfolkcenter.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Dave Smith, host of Ozark Highlands Radio. Welcome to our show. This week we'll be hearing music from a band that's been playing at the Ozark Folk Center for a long time, the folk trio Harmony. Personally, I've never missed one of their shows, although I did get to one about 10 minutes late once. In our Vault segment, sound engineer Mark Jones has dusted off a beautiful old ballad sung by the lovely Kay Thomas. And guest host and historian Charley Sandage will be telling about how the Ozark Folk Center impacted the sleepy town of Mountain View, Arkansas when it opened back in 1973. All that and more this week on Ozark Highlands Radio. The folk trio Harmony is Mary Gillihan, her husband Robert Gillihan, and yours truly, Dave Smith. All three of us are multi-instrumentalists. Robert plays guitar, mandolin, bass, and mouthbow. Mary plays autoharp, bass, and spoons. I play guitar, banjo, fiddle, bass, and button accordion, and we all sing both lead and harmony vocals. Here we are on stage at the Ozark Folk Center, with Robert leading off with a couple of old a cappella songs.
Rise, O fathers, rise, let's go meet him in the sky, for we'll hear the angels singing in that morning. Yes, I really do believe that just before the end of time, we will hear the angels singing in that morning. Rise, O mothers, rise, let's go meet him in the sky, for we'll hear the angels singing in that morning. Yes, I really do believe that just before the end of time, we will hear the angels singing in that morning. Rise, O children, rise, let's go meet him in the sky, for we'll hear the angels singing in that morning. Yes, I really do believe that just before the end of time, we will hear the angels singing in that morning. No time to tarry here, no time to wait for you, no time to tarry here, for I'm on my journey home. Sinners, oh, fare you well, sinners, oh, fare you well, sinners, oh, fare you well, for I'm on my journey home. No time to tarry here, no time to wait for you, no time to tarry here, for I'm on my journey home. Neighbors, oh, fare you well, neighbors, oh, fare you well, neighbors, oh, fare you well, for I'm on my journey home. No time to tarry here, no time to wait for you, no time to tarry here, for I'm on my journey home. No time to tarry here, no time to wait for you, no time to tarry here, for I'm on my journey home.
I actually came here to go cave exploring in 1971. I had no idea what Arkansas was like. I thought maybe it was cotton fields. I got down here and saw these mountains and rivers and woods, lots of woods. It was the place that I had always imagined myself living at. So I just went home, quit my job, packed up my stuff, and came down here to live.
And I came here with my girlfriend in 1973. She had read about the Folk Center, and we canoed and camped when we went on vacations together. So she said, well, this folk center is real near to the Buffalo River and to the Ozark National Forest, so we can go see this folk center, and then we can go up and canoe and camp. And there was something right away I loved about the folk center, just the old timers and what they were doing, and the real open and honesty and the respect that young people had for older people too. I like that because I was raised that way.
River so bright I was born in a hut made of husk from the tall yellow corn. It was there I first met with my Julia so true, and I rode her around in my gum tree canoe. All day in the fields of soft cotton I hoe, and I think of my Julia and I sing as I go. I catch her a bird with a wing of true blue, and at night sail around in my gum tree canoe, singing roll With my hands on the banjo and my toe on the oar, I sing to the sound of the river's soft roar. The stars, they look down at my Julia so true, and dance in her eye in my gum tree canoe. Singing row, hey row, the water's so blue, like a feather will float in my gum tree canoe. I'll play some of it, Dave. Then one night the stream bore us so far away that we couldn't come back, so we thought we'd just stay. We spied a tall ship with the flag of true blue, and an ants in her eye in my gum tree canoe. Singing row, away, row, the water's so blue, like a feather will float in my gum tree canoe. Row, away, row, the water's so blue, like a feather will float in my gum tree canoe.
And I would have to say that more than the woods and the mountains, the people is what really got me here. When I had never met people so open and friendly. And up with Culp, where I first moved, whenever you went to visit somebody, they'd say, "Well, just stay with us, just stay the night." They wanted you to actually stay there.
Absolutely, they could have.
I couldn't believe that people were like that.
Well, you know, a lot of that was because they didn't get a lot of visitors.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they got somebody new from somewhere else or whatever, they really wanted to hear what they had to say.
Yeah.
And that goes back a long ways here in the hills.
Well, yeah, and also I think people used to take in travelers. If you were traveling on the road, there wasn't a hotel or anything. You just stop at a house, say, "Can I stay here?" And I think that was a tradition that kind of kept on
Right.
here. That's why they kind of expected you to spend the night.
And always have you eat.
Oh,
Have you
absolutely.
eat, yeah.
Whether
I
you
mean,
were hungry or
everybody-
not.
That's right. Everybody wanted to
Yep.
feed you all of the time.
That would be one of the first things they'd ask you, have you eaten?
Near to Banbridge town, in the county down, one morning last July. Down a boring green came a sweet Colleen, and she smiled as she passed me by. Oh, she looked so neat, from her two white feet to the sheen of her nut brown hair. Sure, the coaxing elf, I'd to shake myself to be sure I was standing there. As she onward sped, I turned my head and I gazed with a feeling queer. And I said, says I, to a passer-by, "Who's that maid with the nut brown hair?" He smiled at me, and with pride says he, "That's the gem in Ireland's crown. It's young Rose McGann, from the banks of the Bann. She's the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay down to Derry Quay, from Galway to Dublin town. No maid I've seen like the sweet Colleen that I met in the county down." Now I traveled a bit, but I ne'er was hit since my roving career began. But fair and square, I surrendered there to the charms of young Rose McGann. I'd a heart to let, but no renter yet had I found in shawl or gown. But in she went, and I charged no rent from the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay down to Derry Quay, from Galway to Dublin town. No maid I've seen like the sweet Colleen that I met in the county down. crossroads fair, you'll find me there, all dressed in my Sunday clothes. And I'll try sheep's eyes and deludering lies for the charms of the nut brown rose. No pipe I'll smoke, no ox I'll yoke, though my plow turn a rusty brown, till by my own fireside, as a blushing bride, sits the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay down to Derry Quay, from Galway to Dublin town, no maid I've seen like the sweet Colleen that I met in the county down.
Thank you. Thank y'all very much.
In 1976, we weren't a band yet, but we were playing together, and Robert and Mary came out to Fox, to my little one-room log cabin, to play some music, and it's a longer story, but the story is that we got snowed in. We had a huge snowstorm, a blizzard. They couldn't go. They were stuck in my little one-room log cabin for 6 days. We were
Six
in
whole
there.
days.
We wore out a deck of cards and all the strings on our instruments, but we figured if we could live in that one-room log cabin for 6 days without killing each other, we probably could be a band.
That's right.
Fortunately, Dave had plenty of food and plenty of wood.
Tattered quilt on a goose down bed, every stitch tells a story. My grandma said her mama's nightgown and grandpa's pants and the dress she wore to her high school dance. Now wrapped at night in those patchwork scenes, I waltz with grandma in my dreams. My arms, my heart, my life entwined with water from another time. It don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. Newborn cry in the morning air. The past and the future are wedded there. In this wellspring of my sons and daughters, the bone and blood of living water. And while Grandpa's hands have gone to dust, like Grandma's pump reduced to rust, their stories quench my soul and mind, like water from another time. It don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time. It don't take much, but you gotta have some. The old ways help, the new ways come. Leave a little extra for the next in line. Gonna need a little water from another time.
Gonna need a little water.
Need a little water.
Gonna need a little water from
another time.
Thank you.
But in 1988, the state asked us, the three of us, to, and with my wife, to go to Kansas City to play, to represent Arkansas at a convention, the convention of American Travel Writers Association.
Yeah. Right.
And we went up there and we had a good time and we had played so well together.
Great.
And on the way home, we were in a chicken place eating some chicken. And we kind of got to talking about it and decided to become a band.
Maybe we should be a bona fide band.
Yeah.
It was really wild, too, that whole thing. There were 6 states represented there. And out of all 6 states, we turned out to be the only musicians who actually lived in the state we were representing. A lot of people had been
They just hired
hired to come and play the music of their state. People were like, well, you're from Arkansas? You're like representing Arkansas? We're like, yes, we are.
Well, Arkansas couldn't afford to hire professional
And the
musicians.
Duesenberry, and it's called They Sang On. From northern Georgia hills Emma sang, to Arkansas and cotton fields she sang on. Even when her sight was gone, kings and bandits still lived on. In the pictures of her songs, Emma sang, where the pines were cut and sawn, she sang on. Hear the hymns, hear fiddles too, Alameda sang, see the shapes her fathers drew, she sang on. See the deed the storm had done, took her man and last born son. One life gone and one begun. Almeda sang, till her time on earth had run. She sang on. Now if you knocked upon her door, Ollie sang, her mother's songs and hundreds more. She sang on. Are you family? Are you friend? Are you stranger? Welcome in. Banjo tunes and tales begin. Ollie sang. You journeyed far and home again while she sang on. Hear the thousand more, how they sang, to the children that they bore, they sang on. Stories, songs, and hymns of praise ease the burdens of their days, taught us all their gentlest ways, how they sang, age by age and phrase by phrase, they sang on. Age by age and phrase by phrase, we sing on.
Mary and Robert Gillihan. That was the folk trio called Harmony, recorded live at the Ozark Folk Center State Park. First, we heard a pair of ancient a cappella songs, Rise, O Fathers, and No Time to Tarry, followed by Gumtree Canoe and the Irish ballad, The Star of the County Down. Next, we heard a couple verses of John McCutcheon's Water from Another Time. Then we finished that set with They Sang On, a song written in the shape note style by today's guest host, Charley Sandage, to honor three great Arkansas ballad singers, Emma Dusenberry, Almeda Riddle, and Ollie Gilbert. When we come back after the break, let's head down to the vault for a sweet song from the Folk Center archives. You're listening to Ozark Highlands Radio. Let's take a trip down to the vaults and visit my friend Mark Jones, see if he's got some good music picked out for us this week. Hey, Mark, how you doing?
Dave, I'm doing great.
Well, you're looking good, too.
Well, thank you. I can't say much for your eyesight, but I'm trying.
What kind of music have you got picked out for us?
You know, Dave, I run across a name here that I remember meeting this young lady years before I even got to Mountain View. we were playing a festival in Cosby, Tennessee, and it was a Gene Ritchie festival. And this young lady was on the program, and she did such a fine job. It's Miss Kay Thomas.
Ah, Kay, I know her well. What a wonderful singer she is.
Dave, she's not just a good singer. She also is a great craftsman. She's done so many different things. In fact, she was the craft director here at the Ozark Folk Center later years.
That's right, for a long time, as I recall. And not only was she the director of crafts, but she could do just about all of them. She can make applehead dolls. She's a terrific pen and pencil artist. And what a singer she is, too.
Oh, she sure is. Dave, this is one of my favorite songs that she's ever done. It's called Fair and Tender Ladies.
Let's listen to it.
Come all ye fair and tender ladies, take warning how you court young men, for they're like the stars on a summer's morning. They first appear and then they're gone. They'll tell to you some pretty stories and make you think they love you well. Then they'll away and court some other and leave you there in grief to dwell. Now love is sweet and love is charming, the prettiest flower when first it's new. But love grows cold as love grows older and fades away like the morning dew. I wish I were a little sparrow and I had wings to fly so high. I'd fly away to my own true lover, and when he'd ask, I would deny. Alas, I'm not a little sparrow. I have not wings, nor can I fly. And in this world, in grief and sorrow, I am bound until I die. Come all ye fair and tender ladies, take warning how you court young men, for they're like the stars on a summer's morning. They first appear and then they're gone.
Oh, my, there's just not a better singer around than Kay, is there?
No, sir, there sure isn't.
It was really great to listen to one of Kay's songs. Thanks so much for picking that out, Mark.
Thank you, Dave. I really enjoy getting to be here and listen to all this fine music.
This next music segment is going to feature, well, me. In addition to my work with Harmony and a couple of other bands, I've been doing solo sets at the Ozark Folk Center for many years, as well as working as an MC and a square dance caller. Here's my rendition of a song by the great Robert Burns, Green Grow the Rushes.
There's not but care on every hand, if every hour that passes, oh, that signifies the life of man, if it were not for the lassies, oh. Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest hour that e'er I spent among the lassies, oh. The worldly race may riches chase, and Riches may still fly them, oh, and when at last they catch them fast, their hearts can ne'er enjoy them, oh. Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest hour that e'er I spent among the lassies, oh. Old nature swears the lovely dears, her noblest work she fashioned, oh, her apprentice hand she tried on man, and then she made the lasses, oh. Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest hour that e'er I spent among the lassies, oh. Give me a canny hour at e'en, my arms around my dearie, oh, and worldly cares and worldly ken will all go topsy-turvy, oh. Green grow the rashes, oh, green grow the rashes, oh, the sweetest hour that e'er I spent among the lassies, oh.
And probably the biggest deal for us is in 1998, we auditioned for a Prairie Home Companions Talent from Towns Under 2000 contest, and we were one of 6 finalists, and we got to go to New York City. We played in Town Hall on 43rd Street in Manhattan, and it was a big deal.
It
was really neat playing on that stage, Town Hall. Everybody's played that stage.
Oh, yeah.
And then a great highlight also of that was that because we were the first runner-up, we got to come back in the second half of the program, and the music producer at that time, Stevie Becks, she knew we had done a cappella gospel and fixed us up to sing with Garrison Keillor at the second half, which was so much fun,
Yeah.
except for poor old Robert. You tell that part.
Well, the rehearsal rooms were under the stage, and he came in and said, "Do y'all know Where the Soul of Man Never Dies?" And of course we all went, "Well, yeah, we know that one." He said, "Okay, we'll do that one, and I'm going to sing bass."
And Dave and I went, "Oh,
Sure.
sure."
Okay. That's what I usually sing.
Wasn't our part.
You know, the Ozark Mountains cover thousands of square miles. There's millions of hollers and ridges. There's places in these hills that have not yet to this day been seen by man. Isn't that amazing? Somebody figured out a few years ago that if you ironed the Ozarks out flat, it'd be the size of Texas with Arizona thrown in. That's quite a figure, isn't it? You know, and deer and bear and bobcats and mountain lions, they're not the only critters we got inhabiting these hills. We got a varmint around here we call the jimplicute. It's a big critter, like one of those dinosaurs you read about, and it walks the roads at night, catching travelers by the throat and sucking their blood. Now, the high behind is a big critter with hind legs 10 times larger than its forelegs, and it lies along footpaths of a night like a giant toad, and it laps up little children like a toad frog catching flies. Why, the beast can suck in its guts so it's skinny enough to hide behind a tree. It's every bit as dangerous as the king doodle and the gollywog. Now, the whistling wampus cat is a big black cat, smarter than a man, and it lures fellas to their doom by whistling at them from dark cedar thickets. There used to be a lot of them hereabouts around in Stone County. Now, the Hicklesnoopus and the ring-tailed tooter are both members of the wampus family. Now, the ring-tailed tooter I've never seen, but I have heard him before. Up on Coal Fork, up that branches off of North Sillamore Creek, up by Barkshed, up in there in the evening, right before dusk. The ring-tailed tooter will bury its head in a gravel bar on the side of the creek and emit a high whistling sound from a little orifice that's located directly under its tail. Now, the gowrow is a great lizard-like animal 30 foot long with razor-sharp teeth and tusks. It's a member of the goofus family. It spends most of its time in caves and under rock ledges. It eats meat, devours a good number of deer, cattle, probably even a human or two. In 1889, a gowrow was killed not far from here, over near Marshall, up in Searcy County, by a fellow named William Miller. And he sent its hide and bones off to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. Now, these critters I'm telling you about tonight, the Hickle Snoopus and the Whistling Wampus Cat, they may be fairy tales, I don't know, but I do know that the Gowrow was real, because I pretty near saw one just a few years back. There was this showman feller from up in Missouri, and he'd captured him a live young Gowrow, and he was taking it around the countryside, showing it off. And he came through Mountain View, and he had it at the fairgrounds right around the bend from the Folk Center here. A bunch of us fellers from up at Fox and Timbo, we brought our families down to have a look at that Gowrow. Out on the outside of the tent, there was a life-size painting of the Gowrow in the act of eating an entire family of cotton farmers. It was horrible. But we paid our money, and we no sooner got set down in that tent, but there came a terrible roaring noise backstage, and there was chains clanking, and all of a sudden a woman screamed, and a couple of shots rang out, and that showman feller, he staggered out in plain sight of all of us, and he had blood all over his face, and his clothes was torn to shreds. "Run for your lives," he hollered. "The Gowrow has escaped." Just then, the back part of the tent collapsed, and there was more shouting and shooting going on. I'm telling you, we grabbed our women and children. We got out of there just as fast as we could. It was a mighty close call. I kind of wish I'd seen that Gowrow, though.
What, Dave?
Well, I remembered that when my parents would go out to dinner on Friday night and leave me at home when I was a little baby. No. No, when I was in junior high school, and there was a show on called the WGN Barn Dance, which was an old show.
Yeah,
but it was
right.
still on with Archie the Arkansas woodchopper and Lino Frito and I used to lay in the kitchen and listen to that show, and it was my first contact with old-time music.
Well, that's neat.
And it really struck me, and I really liked it.
Yeah, and I never heard old-time music till I was in high school, and then some boys in my class used to go down into southern Illinois. The bell would ring on Friday, they'd have their bedrolls, they'd all jump into a car, race down there, and show up bleary-eyed on Monday morning, and they collected hundreds and hundreds of fiddle tunes.
That was Chirp Smith,
Chirp
I bet.
Smith, yeah.
Indian Creek.
But anyway, so they played then at functions of my school, and that's the first time I ever heard old-timey music.
There we go.
August 1969, after evening chores, we went to see who stood outside knocking on our door. An old man stood there quietly, his hat held in his hand. He said, "I'd like to have a minute of your time. You see, my dad and I, we built that barn in 1899. He said his name was Beeford as we walked across the field, and he told us how they'd raised the frame without a single nail. Just wooden pegs was all it took to make those timbers stand. Then he said, as his eyes looked far away, build it right, and it will last forever and a day. Mr. Beeford's barn still stands on our farm, where it stood 100 years before. Solid as the rock that it was built upon, it will stand 100 years more. He told us how they'd moved down south in 1921, where farming was much easier and the winters not as long. But he made a promise to himself to see the barn again once more before his life was done. Then he shook our hands and drove away into the setting sun. Late that night I gazed out of the window by my bed and out across the meadow while the moon shone overhead. The old barn stood there silver like a sentry in the night. Once more I heard the old man say, right, and it will last forever and a day. Mr. Beeford's barn still stands on our farm, where it stood 100 years before. Solid as the rock that it was built upon, it will stand 100 years more. Solid as the rock that it was built upon, it will stand 100 years more. Thank you, folks.
I just wasn't into music, really, for a long time. I started playing guitar when I was 13, kinda. Didn't really get into it until I was about 16 or 17, somewhere along in there, and then I started playing with my dad, and he was an old-time fiddler, and then we played for years. But before that, it was just like, music,
Old Mother Logo, she likes whiskey. Old Mother Logo, she likes wine. Old Mother Logo, she got drunk and swam across a river on a pumpkin vine. A little lad, 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 a little lie. Little lad, a 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 little lie. She got drunk, she fell in the fire and she kicked out a chunk. A red hot coal got into her shoe, and great God Almighty how the ashes flew. A little lad, 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 a little lie. Little lad, a 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 little lie. Of my poor children, woe the deaths that they did die. Some got sick and some got drowned, some got choked on a chicken pie. A little lad, 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 a little lie.
That was yours truly, Dave Smith, singing Green Grow the Rushes, and then telling some Ozark monster stories that were collected here almost a century ago by the folklorist Vance Randolph. Then you heard a song written by Bob Amos about a true story called Mr. Beeford's Barn, and I finished the set with a song called Old Mother Logo. Let's take a short break, after which guest host Charley Sandage will look back at how the creation of the Ozark Folk Center State Park has impacted Mountain View and its people. This is Ozark Highlands Radio.
For more than 40 years, the Ozark Folk Center and its hometown of Mountain View, Arkansas, have grown together, both in the sense of gradual growth in numbers and in a process of blending. At first glance, Mountain View looks much like any other county seat town in the rural Arkansas Ozarks, but right away, the visitor can begin to notice telltale signs that something is different. Right alongside the front entrance to the old courthouse building that dominates the town square is a flat-topped platform. It looks like a dance floor, because it is. A special park adjacent to the square features some gazebo-like structures, clearly built for people gathering round to hear people playing music. All through the town, shops like the Arkansas Craft Guild Gallery are found, but they sit alongside offices, stores, and cafes that any small town might have. Bed and breakfast with pickin' porches and RV parks with music rooms welcome visitors right alongside motels that could be found in any other Ozark town. And just a few blocks to the north of the square, just beyond the city park and the county fairgrounds, is the Ozark Folk Center State Park. The center has been part of life in Mountain View for over 40 years, and its impact on the town is incalculable. First, in keeping with the hopes of the town, county, and state leaders who first envisioned it, the center has been an economic boon. Tom Simmons, one-time mayor and the center's first general manager.
As it has turned out very well, the park system is, to me, the obvious entity to be operating the Folk Center. The city still owns it, has all the jobs, generates all the revenue it does, the taxes it does, so it's been a real boon to the city of Mountain View and to the county as a whole, and the state for that matter.
More broadly, the Ozark Folk Center, along with nearby Blanchard Springs Cavern, the White River, and the Ozark Mountain setting, and the town's music and crafts components that have accumulated over the years as a kind of spillover of the emergence of the center, have combined to make tourism a leading component of the area's economy. But another kind of blending, in many ways a more important one, has taken place in this community. The traditional Ozark culture that is celebrated here was forged over much of the 19th century by people who came here, took what they found, learned from one another, and fashioned a new life. With the beginnings of the Ozark Folk Center over 40 years ago, a new cycle of that same phenomenon began. The entire region was becoming popular as a place for retirees, many from Midwestern U.S. cities and towns and other states, to settle. But the area also attracted a younger group, part of what was called the Back to the Land movement. The label hippie was bandied about, and what was going on in Mountain View drew the interest of a significant number of these young people. Mary Gillihan, now the longest continuing member of the Folk Center staff, reminisced about being among the first women bold enough to invade the town's pool hall, and then responded this way when asked whether she encountered hostility here during the early 70s.
No, I never found people to be hostile to someone who wasn't from around here, as they always said. I didn't hear that phrase about being from off for years and years and years. People would just say, well, you're not from around here, are you? Although someone from town one time told me, we talked about people like you being from off, but we were polite enough not to say it to your face. They were like joke amongst the locals. But I found people to be very accepting. If you were polite to them and mannerly, if you were open to learning what they had to say, if you wanted to really listen, if you genuinely wanted to know what was going on, they wanted to tell you. They understood the value of passing along what they knew to someone else.
Steve Folkers and his wife Arlone came to this area around the time that what is now the Arkansas Craft Guild was being formed, with its activities marking the beginnings of the process that led to the creation of the Folk Center. They both embraced traditional crafts as a way to make a living in a back-to-the-land lifestyle, and the existence of a market for their work was a reason to choose the Mountain View area as a place to settle.
Especially if you're living out in the woods or you know, a long way off of the pavement, it would have been a lot harder to make a living if you had to drive 50 or 100 miles after you get to the blacktop instead of when you go to town. There it is. You know, that's your market right there.
Steve eventually became what is called a white cooper, demonstrating the crafting of wooden household objects at the center for 20 years. But his route to that career ran through his and Arlone's relationship with the Guild, a relationship that still continues.
Before us, it was locals learning to market stuff that they could do. It was a marketing opportunity to start up with. And then a lot of us back to the land types joined in, and a lot of them, not all, had an interest in the traditional aspects of that. And then also had a lot of contemporary art sort of interests mixed in with it. And so that's, you know, that's when my guild period would have been, was right then when there was both. And I was always interested more in the traditional side of it.
Steve and Arlone and scores of others began to meld into this town that was made up mostly of the descendants of people who had created the traditional Ozark culture. Mary Gillihan acquired her new last name when she married Robert, the son of a father who was a classic Ozark fiddler, one of the first to play in folk center music programs, and a mother whose ancestors were among the very earliest to settle here, even before Arkansas was a designated territory of the United States. They have been joined over these 40 years by other musicians, artisans, and people who simply wanted to become part of this place where the 19th and 21st centuries seem to somehow blend. It's a place that is by no means immune to present-day problems and stresses, nor is it out of reach via highways, the internet, and even a surprisingly sophisticated small airport, but a tangible presence of the past, nurtured by the Ozark Folk Center, offers a kind of perspective for dealing with those stresses that is, in many ways, unique.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Now let's listen to another set from the trio Harmony, recorded live on stage at the Ozark Folk Center State Park.
Morning by the bright riverside, where all sorrow has drifted away. I'll be standing at the portals when the gates open wide, at the close of life's long dreary day. I'll meet you in the morning, with a how do you do, how do you do. And we'll sit down by the river, and with rapture old acquaintance renew. You'll know me in the morning, by the smiles that I wear, when I meet you in the morning, in the city that is built four square. I'll meet you in the morning, in the sweet by and by, and exchange the old cross for a crown. There will be no disappointments, and nobody shall die in that land where life's sun goeth down. I'll meet you in the morning, with a how do you do,
And we'll
sit down by the river,
and with rapture old acquaintance renew.
You'll know me in the morning, know me in the morning,
by the
smiles that I wear,
smiles that I wear. When I meet you
in the morning,
in the
in the city that's built four square.
I'll meet you in the morning at the end of the way, on the streets of that city of gold, where we all can be together and be happy for a while the years and the ages shall roll. I'll meet you in the morning, with a how do you do? And we'll sit down by the river, and with rapture old acquaintance renew. You'll know me in the morning, by the smiles that I wear, when I meet you in the morning, in the city that is built four square. And that's, I think, one of the great things about being a musician. And when we do school programs, we all talk about this. We encourage the students to, get proficient at their instruments, because they can take you to places you might not think about going.
100 miles is the length and breadth that four square cities span. It's gems that walls of jasper shine. They're not made by human hand. 100 miles, its gates are wide, abundant entrance there, with 50 miles of elbow room on either side to spare. Oh, the gates swing wide on the other side, just beyond the sunset sea. There'll be room to spare as we enter there. There'll be room for you and room for me. Oh, the gates are wide on the other side, where the fairest flowers bloom. On the right hand, on the left hand, 50 miles of elbow room. Sometimes I'm cramped and crowded here. I long for elbow room. I long to reach for altitude where the fairest flowers bloom. It won't be long before I pass into that city fair, with 50 miles of elbow room on either side to spare. Oh, the gates swing wide on the other side, just beyond the sunset sea. There'll be room to spare as we enter there. There'll be room for you and room for me. Oh, the gates are wide on the other side, where the fairest flowers bloom. On the right hand, on the left hand, 50 miles of elbow room. On the right hand, on the left hand, 50 miles of elbow room.
I can be in a down mood, not feeling good, or maybe a part of me is hurting, or maybe my brain's hurting, or whatever. And we can start playing music, it all goes right out the window, and then I'm in a great mood. We were practicing it earlier today, and I was funky. And all of a sudden, we started playing, and it's like, yeah, okay, and I'm in a better mood now. Better than...
At what part of that did you throw the bass bow down?
That's right. Early on.
Oh.
Each day I'll do
a
golden deed, by helping those who are in need. My life on earth is but a span, and so I'll do
And so I'll do the best I can, the best I can. Life's evening sun,
Life's evening sun
is sinking low, a few more days,
a few more days,
and I must go,
and I must go to meet the deeds, that I have done, where there will be no setting sun,
no setting sun.
While going down, life's weary road, I'll try to live, some travelers low, I'll try to turn the night to day, make flowers bloom along the way.
Life's evening sun,
is sinking low,
a few more days,
and I must go to meet the deeds, that I have done, where there will be no setting sun,
To be a child,
of
God each day, my light must shine, along the way, I'll sing His praise, till the ages roll, and try to help
some troubled soul, Life's evening sun,
is sinking low,
a few more days,
and I must go to meet the deeds, that I have done, where there will be no setting sun,
That was Harmony, Robert and Mary Gillihan and Dave Smith.
Thank you.
We started that set with the April Waltz, followed by 3 gospel songs, I'll Meet You in the Morning, 50 Miles of Elbow Room, and A Beautiful Life. I hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, and be sure to visit our website at ozarkhighlandsradio.com. This is Dave Smith. See you next week on Ozark Highlands Radio. Bye, everybody.
Ozark Highlands Radio is produced by Jeff Glover. Executive producer is Darren Dorton. Additional support for this program comes from the Committee of 100, proudly supporting the Ozark Folk Center State Park since 1974, and by Arkansas State Parks, with 52 unique reasons to visit the natural state. More information online at arkansasstateparks.com. For information on upcoming shows and events, we are on the web at ozarkhighlandsradio.com. Until next time, I'm Donna Farrar.